You live in the West. You don't live in Israel. And you consistently defend Israel. You say people who are criticizing Israel are anti-Semitic. You consistently conflate Zionism with Judaism over and over and over again. And we're going to get into one nation under Israel. Okay. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to talk about Israel. Boss man Benjamin Netanyahu, the real big dog. He rung in the new year alongside his favorite Donald Trump, to which I joked and said, when your boss asks you what your New Year's Eve plans are and you're forced to invite him, yeah, he was the according to the Prime Minister's spokesperson, Prime Minister's spokesperson, Netanyahu is the only foreign leader who was invited to the event and the only one to have ever attended the president's New Year's ball. Okay, yeah. You think he brought his dirty laundry? Oh, I'm sure. Maybe he's getting Trump to clean it personally. You know what I mean? Cutting out the middleman. I can't say this enough, but without your stream, I would have never learned or even looked into the mayoral race this time. I grew up in Queens, and this was my first time ever voting for mayor, but thank you for educating me and many other New Yorkers about him and socialist policies. Hell yeah. I also do love personally that these guys will talk about how mad Trump is at Benjamin Netanyahu or whatever. Like Axios will still report on it all the time. Shouts out to Barack Ravid, my favorite IDF soldier, Barack Ravid, you know, working in American media at Axios, constantly writing the same exact articles he wrote about Joe Biden being very angry at Benjamin Netanyahu, now writing it about Donald Trump being very angry at Benjamin Netanyahu, and then he's over here fucking celebrating New Year's Eve with his bestie. Now, obviously it's all bullshit. I mean, here they are looking at fireworks together, but it didn't end there, right? Benjamin Netanyahu's Florida trip did not end there. Anyway, there was a steak Rico. Yeah, I know. We'll get into that in a little bit. But Netanyahu's trip didn't end there. He also went to a synagogue in Florida this morning, and he got incredible, tremendous applause inside of this synagogue in the state of Florida. Okay? He made this, but before we do that, here, let's take a look at his stop in Florida, in South Florida.
Local 10 was given an inside look.
The Prime Minister spending the day at a synagogue in Surfside. We were the only American press inside of that service where he was attending. So let's get straight to Local 10's Ross Schlow with more.
Like, that's crazy. What do you mean you were the only American press allowed inside of the synagogue that Benjamin Netanyahu was attending? Like, that in and of itself is already kind of crazy. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are they doing? Fucking, are they not allowing American press into a synagogue when there is a foreign leader inside of the place of worship? Like, I don't understand that.
What this trip was all about. Rosh, good evening.
I'll tell you, today we were a part of history, and it was incredible that Local 10 was allowed inside of this synagogue so we can bring you the images and the words of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister. Now, I say a part of history because
people with no reading comprehension are getting mad at your tweet about Bibi at the synagogue. Wait, what? What do you mean? You're basing your opinion on a whole religion because of one single place of worship, then you use your huge platform to signal blast, justifying anti-Semitism because of it? You're not who I thought you were. You're actually a bad person. Wait, what? You already have been saying I'm an anti-Semitic. No. Why is he acting like this is a new revelation for him? Very interesting. In any case, my statement on this, here it is. Here, you'll see. Israeli Prime Minister received a hero's welcome at a synagogue in Miami, Florida, as the crowd erupted in applause upon his arrival. To which I said, I've spent the last decade talking about the separation of Zionism and Judaism, and while conceptually it is true, these sorts of images make a much stronger argument against said separation. Then people wonder why anti-Semitism grows. This is a big part of the reason why, which is pretty basic. It's not just my assessment at all. This is what anti-Zionist Jews will openly point to as well when talking about how Israel creates anti-Semites every day. And I think every single person understands what I mean here, that while there is a dangerous conflation between Zionism and Judaism, this conflation is oftentimes marketed pretty much by conservative Jews, Zionist Jews, and Christians, Zionist Christians alike. And it's very frustrating to consistently try to make an argument that tries to spare Jews living in the West when people look to things like this and go, what are you talking about? I'm hearing from Zionist Jewish people that every Jew is a Zionist. Every Jew loves Israel. Why the are you trying to tell me something fake, something phony? Who am I supposed to believe? What people are telling me? What I'm seeing all the time? Or some random Muslim woke guy who's just insincerely trying to be woke? This is the way reactionary politics works. This is the way that right-wingers operate. This is the way the right-wingers operate about, black people, for example. This is the way the white supremacists operate about black people. When you try to explain to them that crime is more often than not a consequence of people's material conditions, they think you're actually defending. They think that you're defending black people falsely. It's much easier to understand that like black people are inherently violent, all this shit, right? And what's really frustrating about that is that it makes my job as someone who combats anti-Semitism much harder as well. And it makes people lean into the likes of Nick Fuentes, who are, Jesus Christ, why is this shit breaking? It makes people like Nick Fuentes' argument much easier. Because it's already much easier to just be like, yeah, Jews control the media, Jews control this, Jews control that, and then present an argument that is anti-Semitic when talking about Israel, right? It's much more difficult to educate people on a true anti-fascist, principled anti-fascist stance, okay? Just in general, right? Much, much easier to do that. And then when it is constantly being reinforced over and over again, this tie is forcibly being presented as the reality to many Americans who are not super educated regardless on Israel, but no longer like Israel. Of course, they're going to learn this wrong lesson. Okay? I know I'm out of focus. I don't know what it's trying to focus in on instead of me. And it's very, very frustrating. It is very frustrating. What? Hasan, you're looking at my Twitter on stream. Would you have said this? I spent the last decade talking about the separation of individual actions and Somali identity, and while conceptually it is true, these sorts of videos make a much stronger argument against that separation that people wonder why anti-immigrant sentiment grows is a big part of the reason why. Brother, I have literally talked about Jeffrey Epstein in the same exact way, where if you think these two things are equivalent, you're delusional. Okay? Do you not understand the main difference here? Do you not understand the main difference here? If I were to run around and say, this is how all Jews are when talking about Jeffrey Epstein, I would be doing what people are doing about all Somalis. Okay? This argument is quite literally the opposite. I'm saying that all Jews are not monolithic. No group is monolithic. Okay? But for the average person, they do not have the capacity to comprehend such things, especially when people like yourself, Harley, are consistently defending the idea that Israel is a salvageable thing. You live in the West, you don't live in Israel, and you consistently defend Israel. You say people who are criticizing Israel are anti-Semitic. You consistently conflate Zionism with Judaism over and over and over again. You're teaching people to be anti-Semitic. If you spent more time in here instead of just like constantly chirping about me, you would have actually understood my position a long time ago. Okay? What I always say is Judaism has been around for a lot longer than Zionism has, right? Zionism is like maximum, 100 years, maybe a little bit longer than that. Israel's been around for 78 to 80, right? And yet, in the last 80 years, Zionism has overcome Judaism for many secular Jews too, especially, has overcome the actual religious principle and turned into this like civic nationalist religion that revolves around ethno-religious supremacist values and an indigenous principle against those who were living there prior to the people without a land going to a land without a people, even though there were people there. So when you have people like Jake Tapper, for example, also defending Israel on the conditions of Jews have to have an ethno-state, Jews have to have an ethno-state. It's ridiculous. And then you have Nick Fuentes also saying the same thing, but in a negative way. People are not going to come to someone like myself and listen to my perspective on this. They're going to keep hearing it over and over again. They keep hearing the false conflation from people like yourself. They keep hearing this false conflation from people like Jake Tapper. They keep hearing this false conflation from every outlet in the media, both pro-Israel and anti-Israel. So what are they supposed to think? That's it. And it's really interesting because as a as a Muslim living in the Western world, I have a unique perspective on this, one that I've actually talked about, one that I've written about extensively, one that I gave a speech on specifically at Oxford Union. If you want to understand my position, genuinely, if you are actually just not saying this to come across like a reasonable person while you're trying to disparage me or something, go watch that. Okay? You're basing your opinion on a whole religion. I'm not. As a matter of fact, if you had the reading comprehension here, you would understand that that's the opposite of what I'm saying. Instead of rage tweeting and sitting in this chat, you should perhaps try to comprehend what I'm saying here and not just act as though you are charitable to my position on the internet to, try to win over some people or try to win like this silly argument, which you're not going to win anyway. Okay? Just think about it. Instead of tweeting, just try to understand what I'm saying. Okay? You're basing your whole opinion on a religion because of one single place of worship, then you use your huge platform. I think he makes a valid point. Why is the brutal Zionist regime so popular among Jews? Have you ever taken the time to research that exact question? This is not something that I want to happen. This is something that I have worked, as I'm saying here, against happening over and over again. But when you say you're Jewish and you defend Israel and you think Israel is defensible when it's conducting it and you say it's not okay? What do you expect people to learn from that? When they hear that over and over again, when a random person has anti-Semitic tendencies, as most people do, right? I think you and I would agree on this. This is not like a, crazy position. A lot of people will say like, oh, there are a lot of Jews in Hollywood. Isn't that strange? There are a lot of Jews in finance. Isn't that strange? Like those sorts of attitudes have always existed, right? The nascent anti-Semitism, it can be dangerous if all of a sudden people have a negative perspective, but it's a thing that has been talked about over and over again, but not oftentimes discussed, right? When you already have a lot of people, especially living in a fairly segregated society where they might not live around any Jewish people at all, and they have these sorts of attitudes, and then they hear over and over again that every Jewish person cares about Israel. So if you criticize Israel, you're anti-Semitic. And then you advance silly, faulty numbers like 90% of Jews are Zionist over and over again. You're teaching people that Jews care about Israel a lot. Okay? Now, the extent of that care is up to question. Obviously, it's a very vague observation. What does that mean? That Israel is important to you as a Jew? Because that's the poll that people point to. That was a question that they asked in that poll. But having said that, when you say that over and over again, what do you think people are going to learn from that? What do you think people are going to learn from that? They're going to think, okay, yeah, all right, Jews care about Israel. That's what they're going to think. The difference now, however, as opposed to the last 50 years, is that now Israel is seen as a negative. Okay, now Israel is known as a state causing, which is the truth for the record. It is the truth. Israel is an entity. Israel is a state, a vassal state of the United States of America that is causing a metric ton of in the region. Okay? According to you, you just made a couple of claims just now about my stance that aren't true, but I understand you're in your flow state and I won't hold it against you. According to you, China is just a normal country, but Israel gets all your attention. What should people take away from that? I mean, this is something that I've talked about quite extensively, but I think you might hear it for the first time ever. But here it is. China's operation in Xinjiang, okay, in terms of dragnets, mass surveillance, and re-education camps was completely unjustifiable. I've talked about this extensively. You'll never hear it in clips, obviously, because it doesn't favor people's arguments that I'm a China dick rider who never criticizes China. But if Israel operated in the same way that China operated in Xinjiang, in both Gaza and the West Bank, where every single Palestinian had equal rights in the aftermath of this re-education and whatnot, the rest of the Western world would consider Israel to be the most peaceful nation of all time. As a matter of fact, people such as yourself and numerous others still consistently refuse to recognize that Israel has always had an ethnic cleansing goal in mind from the beginning. That the inception of the nation state started with the Nakba in 1948, and even before 1948, obviously. This is the problem. Also, we're not even talking about China right now. We're talking about Israel. I held us on to a higher standard. I don't go off of every streamer that says some bullshit. There isn't enough time in the day. Also, tweet mentioning equals cyberstalking. Language and words are important these days. People like yourself have to stop fucking them up. I've had personal conversations with Harley back in the day too, which makes this even crazier because I know his newfound allegiances with certain people that he knew were Nazis makes things even stranger in this regard. Finding yourself aligned with the likes of Sam Hyde after openly stating that you know that they're Nazis, while simultaneously consistently talking about someone like myself that you know has spent a good deal of time and still consistently does so in combating anti-Semitism, shows me that your highest priority is simply trying to defend Israel at a time when, unfortunately for you, it's utterly indefensible. Okay? We got the United Nations. You got plenty of Israeli and Jewish academics who openly recognize it as genocide. It's over. It's done. And despite the consistent propaganda in the Western world through Western mainstream resources, even Americans are recognizing that Israel is doing a genocide. So the more you consistently try and defend this, the worse it'll look for you. Not only is it shameful to defend genocide, but you also are making the world a less safe space for anti-Zionist Jews and all Jews alike by consistently putting up a front where you claim you're like doing this because Jews have to exist in Israel. Jews have to have Israel exist in the way that it does, the violent ways that it does, where even the notion of giving equal rights and equal representation to non-Jews in Israel is actually a serious demographic problem. That's an ethno-state, brother. That's fascism. I'm an anti-fascist. It doesn't matter if it's the fucking German folk doing the fascism, and it doesn't matter if it's Itamar Ben-Gvir or even someone such as yourself doing the fascist argumentation. God damn it. I know I'm out of focus. I know. I'm losing my fucking mind about this. What is happening with this fucking stupid-ass camera? Is it the Labubu that is focusing on, maybe? I feel like it's still out of focus. It might be focusing on O'Bungler. What a horrible days to have eyes and have... I have Syrian, Tunisian, and Moroccan Jewish friends in Montreal, and they cannot go where their grandparents grew up. The Nakba went both ways. Oh, my Lord. Sure, bud. Well, don't worry. Israel's taking up pieces of Syria, too, now. So maybe they can go to Israeli-conquered territory in Syria if you think that that is a serious consideration. Is there ever a moment where you consider the actual victims here when we're talking about it? Or is it always that you and your friends living in fucking Canada that are the real victims? Like, this is what I mean. It's like sheer arrogance. It's the way that a lot of people who want to defend Israel communicate about this stuff. That is how you fuck up 80 years of solid propaganda with billions of dollars in lobbying funds and hundreds of millions of dollars in direct economic aid to Israel in return for the multi-billion-dollar, very consistent and fairly successful propaganda apparatus. That's how you fuck it up. It's the sheer arrogance. That's what it is. Sorry, can you not accept that there are and have been victims in both sides? Brother, do you think that the Nazis were victims in the Holocaust too? Is that what you're doing? Is that the argument that you're going to present to me right now? Because you do realize that the Holocaust is not like a singular event, you know? What do you mean, both sides? What the fuck are you talking about, both sides? There's no both sides in the current genocide, the current Holocaust that Israel is engaging in. What is the both sides of that situation? Don't do this fucking bullshit victimhood, brother. Like, what are you talking about? What is this? There's no standard with you. You are the worst of humanity. What? Those words and all the other words you type don't tell me anything about genocide. They're pretty irrelevant to the discussion we're having. This video is proof that it's not a genocide. That's why you started rambling. Not trying to justify war here. I'm demonstrating how it's not a genocide. More than 19,000 rockets were launched to Israel since October 7. It's a very small and densely populated country. You don't fund genocide. Your country prevents one. Not apartheid. Palestinians, Christians, and Arabs, Druze, and plenty of non-Jews live in Israel. Oh, brother. It's just, I don't think you are capable of reading the room. That's the problem. And not just this room, but every room that you're in at this point. Okay? And this is kind of my point. The point I'm making is, brother, even if you want to defend Israel, you should just probably keep it quiet. Okay? Because you are genuinely participating in people developing this horrible tying their friends and the people that they know in the Western world of Jewish background to Israel, because you're doing that. Okay? That's true. 10,000, not this room, every room. You don't understand. People fucking despise Israel. You don't understand it. You do not understand it. This shift happened for you so fast that like it's left you behind. You literally are arguing with points that you could potentially win people over with like 10 years ago. Okay? It's an entirely different environment now. I'm telling you, it's like if I ran around talking about ISIS and how good ISIS is and how it's true Islam, or why can't the Islamic Caliphate do a little bit of fucking conquest? Everyone else has done it. And as a Muslim, we all love ISIS, and that you guys are actually being Islamophobic when you criticize ISIS. Like, if I were to do that, that would be the equivalent of what you're doing right now. And of course, people's takeaway from that would be, oh my God, Muslims are fucking crazy. Do you not understand that? Now, the difference is no Muslim does that, and yet the State Department-backed propaganda apparatus consistently tried to make it seem as though Muslims fucking love ISIS, even though Muslims are the primary victims of ISIS. Most people would not dignify you with this response and try to talk to you like a human being at this point, okay? As a Jew that traveled abroad, I can tell you this negative sentiment towards Israel and Judaism conflated is not new since 1023. Oh, yeah, I wonder why. Do you think Israel tied its actions and its conquest and its violence to Judaism after October 7? Do you think that this is a new phenomena? No, this is my point. My point is Israel's been doing it to actual genuine success, especially in the United States of America, for a very long time. The Holocaust was a state-planned industrial genocide aimed at exterminating an entire people everywhere. The Nakba refers to a mass displacement during a regional war with multiple population movements happening as a result of that conflict. I said the new Holocaust, the current Holocaust, the one that was now paused for a little bit, even though it's not necessarily real. All that pause with a fake ceasefire. Okay? Yes, the Nakba is a planned out, systematized ethnic cleansing campaign. Okay? That's what the Nakba was. It's because they already hated Jews, Hasan. People hated Jews worldwide before Israel, Hasan. Oh my fucking Lord. You're literally... you need to understand something, okay? No one is denying that anti-Semitism was not a major vehicle throughout history, okay? I talk about the pogroms. I talk about the Holocaust with regular frequency. This has nothing to do with the Nakba, okay? Unless you think that the Arabs, Muslims and Christians alike, that lived in that area were simply frustrated because Jews were there now, and not because they correctly recognized that the British occupants that lied to the Arabs initially were actually, after the Balfour Declaration, creating a settler colony. And they were right, by the way. The Arabs were correct. They were creating a settler colony. That's precisely what happened. It wasn't Jew hatred at all. It was self-preservation. It was people fighting to make sure that they weren't slaughtered. It was people fighting to create a nation state for themselves. And prior to the British intervention, prior to British control in historic Palestine, British mandate Palestine, there were Jewish people living there, and they did not have these sorts of issues. There was no like consistent Jew hatred that was taking place under the Ottoman Empire, and I'm sure you know this already. Okay, or maybe you don't. But the Ottoman Empire was considered a safe haven for Jews that were escaping numerous other pogroms throughout time, whether it be the Spanish Inquisition and numerous others. I need you to understand, okay? And I don't know if you ever will. Lied to Arabs and the Jews, lied to both, bro. First of all, there were Arab Jews as well, as you like to bring up when you're talking about your friends in Montreal. Okay, so it's not even like different. You don't even live in Israel and you're using like Israel demography. It's so funny. This is what I mean. It's like pure brain rot. Ugh. In any case, I don't think you're ever gonna, I think you might be a little too deep. You might be a little too invested. And I doubt you're gonna comprehend what's going on. But once again, yeah, the dhimmis in the Ottoman Empire, Jews pay taxes for being Jewish. Dog, in comparison to the Inquisition, just don't refer to me. Listen to Jewish historians, okay? Listen to Jewish historians. The Ottoman Empire, in comparison to the Western pogroms, the pogroms that were happening in the Western world, were far more tolerant to coexistence, okay? Yes, Jews and Christians paid a tax. This is not even a defense of the Ottoman Empire either. Like, I don't even give a shit about defending the Ottoman Empire. I'm just talking about history. Every non-Muslim paid a non-Muslim tax, and Muslims had a separate tax. But you do understand this, right? You do understand this, right? Like when you consistently try to like defend Israel and talk about, you know, an ongoing genocide in this way, when like even people who don't give a fuck about Muslims, right? Like Arabs, Muslims at all are recognizing this to be like a truly horrifying situation. Like, you are saying, this is my shit. This is me. I am a Jewish person living in Canada or living in America. I don't know where you live, right? And I love Israel, and I'm going to defend Israel, and I'm actually going to use anti-Semitism as a reason for why Israel must exist in the violent ways that it does. This teaches people the wrong lesson. It teaches people the opposite lesson that I'm trying to teach them, which is ironically exactly what I was trying to say here, which you did not understand, okay? That is my point. You're contributing to it. Anyone that turns around and says, Zionism, well, 90% of Jews are Zionist, okay? 90% of Jews are Zionist, so if you're anti-Zionist, you're anti-Jew, does not realize that you're teaching people to be anti-Jew in that situation. You're not teaching them that, like, there is a difference in opinion between many different people. People go, okay, I'm anti-Israel, so if 90% of people are 90% of Jews are pro-Israel, then I guess I'm anti-Jew. That's it. Because a lot of Zionists do not understand that people do not fuck with Israel no more. It just doesn't make any fucking sense, especially to someone like myself, especially someone whose name is Hasan, especially someone who's like a prominent left-wing critic of America in the Western world, who is of Muslim background. I just don't understand it. It's like running around and saying all Muslims love ISIS. That's what it feels like. And for the record, anti-Semitism would still exist. People would still tie Israel's actions to Judaism regardless. But you're not making it any fucking easier, especially when you argue with someone like myself. Oh my God. Haha, in comparison, bro, Jews paid for being Jewish. Okay, they were tolerant, but Jews are discriminated against. You painted it as it wasn't like that. And then I pointed out and you get exasperated. This has been my issue with you. No, reading comprehension is your major issue, and critical thinking is your major issue. On the one hand, there was ethnic cleansing taking place against Jews. On the other hand, Jews, just like Christians, were forced to pay a tax, okay? A non-Muslim tax. Take it up with people that chose to escape to the Ottoman Empire at the time and not with me, okay? They made that choice. And I think it was the right choice to make. Yes, if he's talking about jizya, it was only for military agents and capable men only, not women, children, and the elderly. Around 1.5. Muslims pay 2.5 zakat. Can't believe we're still doing this Islamophobic talking point of the Big 2026. And the tax exempted them from joining the army. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Here, I mean, this article is a great one. I've talked about this already. What did the Ottoman Empire ever do for us? Quite a lot, in fact, by Diana Darke. Contrary to the prevailing view, the Turkish civilization had an egalitarian, multicultural outlook which protected Jews. It's ridiculous, dude. It's just so funny to try to argue on, you know, the Ottoman tax policies of me in an effort to try and fucking justify the Nakba somehow. Oh shit, dude. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you know, Jews and Christians alike paid a specific tax when they weren't serving in the Ottoman military. So I guess it's okay to fucking do the Nakba. And then 80 years of like slow burn, ethnic cleansing and mass displacement and land theft. Shit, I should have thought about that. Yes, Jews don't have to pay taxes for being Jewish anymore. Look at your chat trying to justify how Jews paying taxes for being Jewish. Isn't that bad, law? Dog, it's not that bad in comparison to fucking genocide. That's the point that people are making, which I think you can understand, right? Or perhaps you can't. Take it up with the people who fled and sought refuge in the Ottoman Empire. We don't have to have this discussion right now, especially when you're trying to justify the fucking Nakba for this reason. Oh my God. Do you not understand how fucking stupid this argument is? Are you all right? Never justified the Nakba, only pointed out it went both ways. Jews were expelled as well during their Nakba. Oh my God. Yeah, why the fuck do the Palestinians have to be those who are ethnically cleansed for the European genocide of Jewish people? I know. That's a separate point, too. Anyway, yeah, you never justified the Nakba. You just said both sides suffered. Yeah. Yeah, you know, poor Nazis suffered during the Holocaust, too. Why do you not think about that? Poor Turks suffered during the Armenian genocide. Why does nobody ever think about that? It was just mass transfer. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was a little bit of ethnic displacement, right? That's what I would sound like if I were you know, doing the same kind of defense. And many people still do it to this day, as a matter of fact. Anyway, this isn't even one of the more consequential parts of this conversation, because like you won't even recognize that Israel's doing genocide to this day. So I don't even know what the fuck we're talking about at that point. Anyway, hopefully this was somewhat educational, maybe one day. But this is not the right argument to make. And if you were in here, as a matter of fact, when I was talking about this initially with the Somali conversation, assuming that all Somalis are actually doing mass fraud is akin to assuming all Jews are doing international sex trafficking for Mossad and pedophilia, like because Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, that's a better argument, which is one that I presented when talking about the Islamophobia and comparing it to anti-Semitism. You are extensively trivializing the Holocaust to prove your point. Israel is a terrorist state. Okay, a terrorist state that's doing what? Doing genocide. Zionism is a fascist ideology. If you don't recognize these things, we can't have a normal conversation. I can explain it to you again, over and over again, but stop. Monkey do Houthi, shut the fuck up. Anyway, in case of Morocco, Israel paid Morocco to transfer Moroccan Jews. They didn't have enough population. Yes, in numerous other Arab countries in the MENA region, there are different reasons as to why there are different ways in which this kind of population transfer took place. And it's not without like pogroms initially as well. There were some. But to compare separate countries, many of which were already under the protectorate, or not protectorate, as a matter of fact, whether to compare this to all these other countries in the MENA region, many of which were actually under the power and influence of a colonial superpower that was dominating them, is fucking insane. Whereas the precursor militant groups to the IDF, before the Israeli state was established, the Zionist brigades, they actually carried out a planned ethnic cleansing campaign. It wasn't like Jews that did this planned ethnic cleansing campaign. These were militancies that specifically under the ideology of Zionism conducted a planned ethnic displacement and ethnic cleansing campaign, and they were successful. 750,000 Palestinians were removed from their homelands, never allowed to return. There's a difference between that and like the Israeli state that was established after the fact. One, really pushing and pulling in terms of like a lot of the instability that was taking place in the pan-Arabic nationalist movements that were fomenting in the region, in the MENA region, / going to, in certain instances, places like Vichy France to demand that their colonial occupants dispose of all the Jews and send them to Israel. This asymmetry has always played itself out because Israel is seen as a profoundly important Western apparatus. And that's why they've been armed to the fucking teeth. Initially from even the USSR, as a matter of fact, by way of Czechoslovakia. That was a major L from Stalin. In any case, did he say Hamas attempted genocide on October 7th? That's so funny. Yeah, so you're right. The Jewish partisans attempted genocide during the Holocaust. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising was attempted genocide against the Germans and the Polish. It's just like anyone that was taking up arms alongside Nazi Germany was in fear of being genocided. Do you think Israel being horrible while tying itself to Judaism will make some people retcon their beliefs on everything surrounding World War II, and that conversation being popularized could swing people to be more sympathetic to actual Nazis and thus then be used to genocide, or just then be used to justify growing fascism today? Abso-fucking-lutely. That is exactly what's happening right now in broad daylight, in real time. It's exactly what I'm trying to fucking avoid. It's exactly what I'm trying to fight back against. And yet you still have people like Harley coming in here and trying to claim that I'm anti-Semitic, not realizing that right now, anti-Semitism is unironically seen as a marker of earnesty, and you are so fucking far removed from the attitudes and how much they've shifted that you think that this is a successful strategy, okay? People think you're a real one when you actually are anti-Semitic. It's fucking insane. It didn't happen overnight. Israel played a major role in it, though. There was already a lot of anti-Semitism flinging around, and yet, even to this day, for the record, like, anti-Semitism is a real bigotry, it's real hatred, but it doesn't have the same impact, the systematic discrimination that it once did in the United States of America, but it doesn't have the contemporary systematic discrimination that, like, anti-blackness and Islamophobia has, right? That's just true. Like, there was a time and place when, people wouldn't hire Jewish people. There was a time and place in the United States of America when Jews had a hard time getting into schools and whatnot, things of that nature, right? But in modern American society, anti-Semitism is not systematic, right? In the same way that, like, anti-blackness is. Okay? Having said that, however, that could change in the future. And that was certainly the case in the past. What is this? This gets 18K likes on Twitter on the regular. I don't see them under these tweets. I know. That's the other thing. You got Nazis who are fucking popping off, and you're coming to attack the one guy who is anti-Nazi. Okay? You're a fucking idiot. Actually, like, you are genuinely fucking stupid. If you sincerely think you're fighting anti-Semitism, which I don't think you are, I think you just want to, like, defend Israel somehow, and no one gives a fuck about what you have to say elsewhere. And this is the one community where people are not going to immediately, like, shut up Jew or something. So that's why you're in here trying to fucking chirp, because you know this is not an anti-Semitic community. It's an anti-Israel community. Okay? But if you want to fucking actually tackle anti-Semitism, why don't you go after real anti-Semites? The fuck are you doing in here? It's so stupid. It's the same thing that fucking Ethan Klein has been doing for the past 2 years, like a dumbass, not realizing that the environment has shifted so dramatically that consistently chirping about anti-Semitism, especially against people who are objectively not anti-Semitic, who have spent a good deal of their professional media career fighting against anti-Semitism, consistently claiming that they're anti-Semitic, when actual anti-Semites are fucking going around town gaining tremendous prominence, shows me that you're not a sincere person at all. You're a fucking idiot. You're wasting your time. Anyway, let's get back to Benjamin Netanyahu speaking at the synagogue to loud cheers.
Netanyahu, as you may know, has been prime minister several times for several years, but this is his first time to visit South Florida, and he comes here to the synagogue behind me. His message was very simple and to the point. Fight. Israel will not stop fighting.
You try saying you have a much larger platform than the real anti-Semites? Really? I have a bigger platform than Candace Owens, who was running around with a copy of the Talmudic Jew to 160,000 live concurrent viewers, talking about how Jews are contract people, Jews are contract lords. You don't share 95% of my views, brother. You don't, okay? You don't. Clearly. Okay? Because the 5% is a justification for an ongoing wholesale slaughter. It's ridiculous. I hold you to a higher standard, Hasan. No need to be so angry and insulting. You are molding the brains of the youth. You are painting Israel as Nazi Germany is insane. No, it's not. It's not. It's 100% correct. This is the problem. Not only is it your feelings to even consider it, open up your fucking mind and realize that that is precisely what is going on. Israel is the modern version of Nazi Germany. It is exactly the same. What the fuck are you talking about? Zionism revolves around ethno-religious supremacy and complete colonial domination, settler colonial domination over the indigenous population of non-Jews. It's fucking ridiculous. Blames Jews for everything, even Jew hate law. Bye, guys. Thanks for speaking to me as a human being, which is apparently something I should be grateful, according to Hasan. Any other place you have this conversation, any other political space you have this conversation that is anti-Israel is immediately going to dial in on every anti-Semitic meme that you will ever hear. Okay? That's just the truth. The reason why you know that's not going to happen here is because deep down inside you also know that I am not an anti-Semite and I actually viciously combat against anti-Semitism. Ironically enough, our argument here stems from me saying Jews consistently saying they love Israel and defend Israel's genocide is actually fomenting anti-Semitism and making the United States of America and every other Western country a less safe space for Jewish people overall, because everyone fucking who is not as socially invested in the continuation of Israel as an ethno-state is going to look at this and go, okay, well, I guess Jews do care about Israel. All they care about is Israel. All they talk about is Israel, and become anti-Semitic as a consequence of that. Jesus Christ. No, it's not that complex. It's not that complex. Like, Jewish people are not like cut from a special cloth where they're incapable of being fascist, okay? Or fascism is not only Nazism. It's so stupid. In any case, if you want to fucking combat anti-Semitism, go talk to your friends like Sam Hyde, who you've defended as of late, which is insane. You know? Jesus Christ.
A historic day in South Florida.
Yeah, like Albert Einstein compared Zionism to Nazism in fucking 1947. Not even 1948. 1947. He said the Zionist brigades are behaving in the same way that the Nazis did. And I feel like that guy knew a lot about what the Nazis were doing. You know what I mean? It's ironic because so much of my research or everything that I've learned about this predicament, so much of that has come from Jewish and sometimes even Israeli academics, okay? If it wasn't for Jewish Israeli academia, the new historians, we wouldn't even know that, like, we wouldn't even have evidence, rather, because we knew that the Nakba was an ethnic cleansing campaign, obviously, because their victims were alive. Some of them are still alive, right? But we wouldn't have evidence that it was a planned extermination campaign. Okay? It's ridiculous. I can't believe we're having like the same fucking argument still after 2 goddamn years.
For the first time since he has been Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu makes a visit to South Florida.
I don't know of anyone who doesn't go to Florida these days.
Research meaning Twitter? No, you don't. And your chat proves that you don't. This is the environment you've built. You know, research meaning Twitter. Dog, I literally have a dual degree in political science and communication. This is something that I have actually... Why am I entertaining this? It's just pure projection because your fucking favorite content creator who you think is actually an intellectual or some shit is only getting their information from, I suspect, Twitter, or consistently claiming that I'm getting my shit from Twitter.
Most of them stay. It's a pleasure to be among proud Jews and proud non-Jewish friends of the Jewish people in the state of Israel, who understand that unity, strength, and resolve are the guardians and guarantors of our future.
In the morning, heightened security around the synagogue. Crowds gather. Local 10 gets inside the synagogue as people wait for the prime minister. And then Netanyahu arrives. People capturing the moment so close to this world leader.
Holocaust survivor. He escaped the death camps. And I shook his hand and I said to him, and I said to you, I say to the entire world, never again.
Yeah, never again for anybody, okay? Not the Kahanis interpretation of never again, which is never again just for Jews. But that is the modern state of affairs, unfortunately.
Never again. President Trump asked me, how do those people, how do they stand it? How do they do it? And I said, well, see, I couldn't quote directly a great singer in Israel.
So you're saying all lives matter, Lamau? I mean, that's quite literally the point of never again, yes. Yes, it is. It literally is. That you're not wrong. Yeah, yes, all genocides matter. It is genocide. I mean, that's the one time when you can say, you know, yeah, all lives actually, when it comes to human rights.
You know that. It's the spirit. It's the spirit of our forefathers.
And Netanyahu leaves the audience with a message about the rising tide of anti-Semitism worldwide.
The last thing you should do is lower your head and seek cover. That's not what you should do. You should stand up and be counted. You should fight back. You should speak up. You should attack your attackers. You should delegitimize the delegitimizers. That's what you need to do.
I cannot believe this motherfucker gets to do whatever the fuck he wants, dude. Hasan saying all lives matter with his entire chest. Yes. It's so fucked. BLM was such a bad choice as slogan, man. No, it wasn't. What the fuck are we relitigating here? No.
You know, it's interesting. When I say fight back, it's to fight back to combat anti-Semitism. That last remark there,
Yeah, no,
Netanyahu
totally. Thank you. That's what he
was
wants.
speaking about a teenager who was in the audience, and this teenager asked the prime minister, how do I deal with anti-Semitism on college campuses? And Netanyahu says, do not lower your head. The prime minister also spoke about his Trump in Mar-a-Lago, calling him a great friend to the state of Israel. We'll have more for you tonight at 6 o'clock. For now, I am live in Surfside. Rosh Shloh, Local 10 News.
Right now at noon, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is making a South Florida stop today.
Visiting a synagogue in Surfside. Local 10's Rosh Lowe, the only South Florida reporter inside for the service, and he is live with us. Rosh.
You know, we have an incredible opportunity to be the only South Florida television station allowed inside the Shul of Bal Harbor. I'm joined by Representative Carlos Jimenez, and let's get to some video. Representative, tell me about the historic nature of this event. This is the first time Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been to South Florida since he's been Prime Minister.
Yes, or particularly Miami. I think he's been maybe to Mar-a-Lago before, but I don't think he's been down here. And so it is very, very historic. I was actually, when I said, I'm sure.
Like, it's, what a shame, dude. What a deep fucking shame. Seriously, deep fucking shame. And any moment, if you are, and I'm preaching to the choir here, to all the anti-Zionist Jews, so it's not about you, but like, for Harley, for example, every moment that you spend attacking people who criticize this, as opposed to attacking Benjamin Netanyahu for being a fucking war criminal that is basically using a synagogue, a place of worship, like a fucking fleshlight to do propaganda, and the people who invited him and cheered him on, is a moment that you're refusing to comprehend exactly what's going on here. Like, I thought at least liberal Zionists kept saying, oh, Benjamin Netanyahu is bad. Benjamin Netanyahu is the singular responsible factor here. Well, it turns out you don't really fucking hate Benjamin Netanyahu that much if you hate him. But then you're like, but he still should be able to go to Florida. He should go to a synagogue. Everyone should cheer him on. Everyone should talk about how big of a fucking brave hero he is. Well, I guess you don't fucking hate Benjamin Netanyahu at all. I guess that was just a talking point, and you're kind of butthurt that we're not eating that talking point. What's the bigger problem here? Me saying that the conflation between Judaism and Zionism is incredibly dangerous and makes it less safe for Jews in the Western world and Jews all around the world, as a matter of fact, and that when people are in the affirmative inviting Benjamin Netanyahu to a synagogue and cheering him on, when the entire world recognizes him as the fucking war criminal that he actually is, an evil person in general, what do you think is happening there? Shouldn't you be mad at the synagogue? Shouldn't you be mad at the attendees? Shouldn't you be mad at people who thought this would look good? This would be an appropriate idea at a time when fucking anti-Semitism is exploding? No, you don't want to get mad at that because you want to fucking defend that. That's why you come in here and you yell at me, a person who's calling it out. It's ridiculous. It's not only ridiculous, but it's utterly devoid of self-preservation. It's just like you're ridiculous, you're silly, you're not even recognizing how this looks. You're basically advancing the same argument that these people are learning, the wrong lessons that these people are learning, that you do care about Israel more than you care about the genocide that Israel is conducting. You care about defending Israel more than you care about anything else. It's very short-sighted.
Sure, he comes here often. No, absolutely not. I think the last time he was here was over about 25 years ago. That was for a private wedding. And so, yeah, this is a historic event, and certainly my honor to have been invited to it, and certainly my honor to be attending it.
I want to talk about your relationship with Israel, and I've covered you for a long time as the mayor of Miami-Dade County now, in the House of Representatives going on, what, 6 years almost?
I'll be on my 6th year starting on the 3rd of January. Yeah.
Tell me about your support for Israel.
No, I'm 100% behind Israel, and I have been for a long, long time. As mayor of Miami-Dade County, really, here's a little tidbit for you. I wanted a couple of routes for Miami International Airport. One was to Japan, one was to Tel Aviv. I got Tel Aviv, I didn't get Japan. And so we've always had this close relationship. I've been 100% pro there.
What is this? Like, this is what Israel defenders are saying now? Limit the First Amendment to defend it?
It's time to limit the First Amendment in order to start.
Bro. Oh my God. No shot.
Time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it. And quickly before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms.
And who the fuck do you think you are, Shlomo? Providing your 2 cents on our Constitution. I don't know about.
Are you fucking kidding me, dude? I need to see the OG video. I need to see the OG video. I need to see the OG video. Also, she's not slurring. His name is Shlomo before you fucking freak out. Okay? Chatters. I know some of you heard her say Shlomo and went, whoop, your ears perked up. His name is literally Shlomo. Okay? Calm down. Okay? Hold your fucking judgment.
Valuable rights be limited. I hear the I'm proud to be, and all of the Star Spangled Banner all starts playing in my head. I get heated and I'm angry. Left, right, red, blue, Republican, Democrat, from the hardest left to the
founder and CEO of Cato Network, Shlomo Kramer, also one of the founders of Checkpoint, another big cyber company. Shlomo, it's great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How is AI, cyber warfare, shaping geopolitics right now?
So AI is going to revolutionize cyber warfare, cyber warfare from critical infrastructure to the fabric of society and politics, and undermining it, giving unfair advantage to authoritarian governments against democratic countries. First Amendment type of...
That's already happening?
That's already happening. You're seeing the polarization in countries that allow for the First Amendment and protect it, which is great.
That's crazy, brother. You can't... This is what I mean. This is the arrogance, the sheer arrogance, okay? You say stuff like that. Like, I swear to God, look, different circumstances for Dubai. Dubai is funding and the UAE is funding and facilitating the genocide that's going on in Sudan, right? And obviously the victims are in the African continent, so people don't really care about it as much, right? Because there's a white supremacist undertone to the whole thing. However, if Dubai also had a bunch of sheikhs and whatnot that went on Western television and said, of course you are going to give me billions of dollars, okay? Of course, brother, what are you saying? Come to Dubai, give me $1 billion for gun. I will do the genocide. I will do whatever I want. And then simultaneously say, and you cannot speak out against the UAE. Brother, if you speak out against the UAE, you are being Islamophobic. And we will limit the First Amendment. If you were to fucking hear that all the goddamn time, okay, I think a lot more people will be paying attention to fucking what's going on in Sudan, okay? Straight up, Americans partially hate Israel now because of this shit. This is crazy. You got to do it with the thickest Israeli accent, being like, the First Amendment is, it must be shut off. people are saying too many bad things. It's ridiculous. Anyone that sees that is immediately going to be like, well, fuck off.
And I know it's difficult to hear.
That's literally a big part of the reason why people fucking hate Israel in the West now, because of the sheer arrogance of Zionist envoys of Israel, the sheer arrogance and the way that people who want to defend Israel communicate their perspectives with unlimited hubris and arrogance. For the last 2 years, as in the backdrop, there is a fucking limitless slaughter of children taking place, was enough for a lot of people. Was enough for a lot of people who had a lifetime of pro-Israel propaganda baked into their fucking consciousness too.
But it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it, and quickly before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms. We need to stack rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online and take control over what they are saying based on that ranking.
The government.
The government should
control the social media.
Yeah.
Even the CNBC anchors are like, what the fuck? I don't know about this. What are you saying? Give it to me. I will control. Give it to me and AI. We will control environment. No more First Amendment. He's definitely not going to like it when people are forced to use their real names and say the exact same things. No, it's just like this is fucking crazy. Like, this is unironically what people are seeing, what they're experiencing, what they're frustrated by. And it gives a perfect opportunity for people like Nick Fuentes to immediately package this back to like Jews control the media. Okay? The connective tissue there, however, is not just Nick Fuentes saying all Jews care about Israel. It's Jewish people who also love Israel consistently putting that at the forefront of their argumentation, being like, if you criticize Israel, oh, sweetie, you're being quite anti-Semitic actually for criticizing Israel. The fuck do you expect people to learn from that? You know what I mean? Why do you think he's popping off now? Why do you think this fucking neo-Nazi that was deplatformed from every fucking platform is now a major figure in American politics? How do you think that happened? Because people fucking hate Israel. And he is seen as an earnest criticizer of Israel.
They should do that. And we need to educate people against ICE, and government need to develop cyber defense programs that are as sophisticated as the cyber attack. Today it's a 1 to 100 ratio. And really government are not doing this today at any rate, and enterprises are left fending from themselves.
The technology is moving much faster than the political system typically can to respond to
so
it.
you need to use technology in order to stabilize the political system, and you need to put adjustments that are perhaps not.
I mean, we're at a point, though,
necessary.
right? I mean, I can go on Instagram or TikTok, and frankly, it already is becoming unclear what is fake and what is real.
Exactly.
And once you eliminate that ability to discern truth from fiction, then what are you left with?
You are left with polarization of society and inner fighting, and you have to control that. And you see that already happening across the world. So this is an urgent need by the government to do that. And until then, enterprises are buying by themselves more and more cybersecurity solutions, but they can't afford all these solutions by themselves. So they are looking for ways to deliver a more efficient consumption.
And I assume you have some of those ways, obviously.
Right. So, and that drives really the next generation of companies such as Wiz, CrowdStrike, Cato networks on the network that are platforms to deliver this extended need for security in an affordable way for enterprises.
For enterprises,
right.
Not for governments.
Not for government, but governments need to start building their programs. And the same tools can be used also by government.
But the two leaders in AI, one is China, which obviously already is using AI to control the population. Yeah. And here we're all out in a race with China. And so we're not as interested in regulation right now, certainly not at the state level, for example.
And that's a big mistake, because if China has a single narrative that protects its inner stability, and the U.S. has multiple allows for multiple.
Oh, Open Presents, thank you for the 100 gifted subs. Let's
narratives,
go.
it puts them in an unfair advantage.
He's doing such a good impression of Hasan doing an Israeli accent.
That long term is going to cost the stability of the nation. So changes must be made.
Anyway, yeah, that was as horrifying as I thought it was, for the record. Like, that is crazy. That is as horrifying as I thought it was. It's crazy. It seems he just wants a China-like censorship on the media. Yeah, it's fucking, it's so dumb. We are looking at all the worst aspects of Chinese governance and like Chinese repression and being like, let's not do any of the good stuff. Let's only do the stuff that people really fucking hate. Okay? It's so dumb. It doesn't work without the other, especially in the Western world. It will never work. You want to know why? Because those liberties are the only redeeming qualities of living in a fucking liberal capitalist Western country. Are you fucking joking? It's like saying we're going to shut off the treat machine and we're going to shut off your free speech openly, so you can't even feel like you have an opportunity to buy, like, I don't know, a diverse array of products that is relatively affordable, or even speak your mind. Call Trump a pedophile when you feel like it. The only reason why that kind of social restriction works in a place like China is because they also really base boost the material conditions. Okay? That's it. You can't have one without the other. Now, I'm not even going to make an argument about whether or not America has achieved true liberty in terms of free expression and things like that. Obviously that's not the case, but I'm talking about like the feeling of having true liberty in self-expression, right? Because we believe it. We have it. We believe that we have it.
Our greatest ally, the only democracy in the entire region. And yeah, I'll stand behind Israel 100%.
I wanted to ask you, maybe we can show some of the video here. What a massive crowd out here to see the Prime Minister of Israel. I've covered a lot of events. First of all, I haven't seen security like this, but I also haven't felt the excitement. What do you think it is about Netanyahu being in Surfside that is, look at this room, causing all this excitement?
Well, he's a great leader, and he has helped to protect Israel. And so, like I said, I'm 100% behind Israel, 100% behind what the Prime Minister has done, especially in light of what happened on October 7th and what Israel had to do.
Like, these dudes are so out of touch, dude. It's just not. I guess you can kind of get away with it in this day and age with American politics, right? Like, you can just refuse to entertain the quite reasonable demands that the masses are making. But there is a time limit on that, I think. You can't get away with it forever.
And we have to find peace in the Middle East. And peace comes through strength. It doesn't come through appeasement. And so, Benjamin Netanyahu shows strength. And he is committed to, the survival of and the prosperity of his nation. And so that's why you see a whole bunch of people here. I know that there's at least one more representative, colleague of mine, Representative Fine, and also Senator Bernie Navarro from Ohio is here too. So yeah, there's a lot of buzz here today.
You know what I love about South Florida? Even though it's a big city, it's still a small town. For people at home, I was walking through and I saw the representative. I go, "Do you recognize me?" He goes, "Yes, of course I recognize you." We've been covering each other for many years, and it is so nice to be here to see I want people at home to recognize the importance of this. The Prime Minister of Israel chooses South Florida. What is the connection? And then I'll let you go. What is the connection between South Florida and Israel specifically?
Well, we have a huge Jewish community here, and the connection again. We go back to what we did, right? We had that direct flight. That's a direct connection to Israel. There's a lot of people that donate money to Israel from this area, and so it's. I don't know if it's the number one, Jewish community in the United States, but it's got to be top two, okay? And so, There's a huge connection to the state of Israel. There's a deep love for the state of
Bro, look at the amount of fucking cops, too. Jesus Christ. This is like Trump level security, brother. For a fucking foreign leader. What are we doing? God damn, dude.
Israel here, and I'm sure glad that he finally came down. He needs to come down more often.
All right, so we're going to be here live, and I thank you, Representative Jimenez. I really appreciate your time.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Let's let people at home. I want to show you the scene inside, just because it's unique that we're in here. We've seen a lot of representatives in here. We've seen just a ton of people who are just truly excited to see the Prime Minister. Now, as I mentioned there in the interview, this is Netanyahu's first.
The president is visiting. Why wouldn't they be there? True. Daddy's here. Listen. I am surprised that you're surprised by that level of security. I mean, dude, come on. They like shut down the entire fucking city, bro. What are you talking about? I feel like that goes beyond, It's also so crazy. It's like, look at all these people. They're very excited for Adolf Hitler to visit their place of worship. It's awesome. We all love it. This is totally normal stuff. Let's look at the comments. Remember, they hate us and actively working against us. Oh, that was him. Passed by me in a motorcade full of state troopers. I thought it was Trump. America first. Jump Donald Boyd Trump. How high, Master Netanyahu? High. 2028, we will elect a president that will kick Israel out. Oh, what a day it will finally be free. A hero's welcome for a war criminal is insane. Disgusting war criminal. Why is this news station making propaganda for Israel? It doesn't seem legitimate and doesn't he have a son who lives in Florida? So I doubt it's his first time there, and U.S. taxpayer dime unusual. And then bots. No, don't. No. Don't lay right behind me. Get up. Place. Immediately lays down. Right. Okay. Come here. Get over here. Get over here. What's this? Good girl. Just roll over her tail a little bit. I know it's maximum abuse to not roll over my dog's tail when she lays down right underneath my chair wheels. Kaya is never beating the Treatler allegations. Oh, she is Adolf Treatler, dude. Are you kidding me? She's the ultimate Treatler. She is a Treatlerite through and through.
To South Florida, since he is the Prime Minister. And of course, as we were talking to the representative about, there is that connection between South Florida and Israel. So many people here in the community are interested in what he has to say. Can we take it off the tripod for a second, Jacob? Let's walk around this room for a second and just see the faces in this room. So we're here at the Shul of Bal.
This guy is so stoked. He's loving it, dude. He's like, wow, I can't believe it. I love Benjamin Netanyahu. I love that he's here right now. What an incredible honor that we got to be here and film all these people who are also very excited to see our big, beautiful boy.
Harbor.
Psychotic.
And, this is, if you're familiar with the area, this is Surfside, Bal Harbor, massive congregation, but also we have people that have come from all over here to see the Prime Minister, and you can see the crowds here. I do have to say, the amount of security that I saw here was absolutely incredible. People coming here. Let's just walk through the crowd here.
Danny Danon. Israel is number one. I hope there are no terror babies in here. Danny Danon.
Here for a moment.
Wow, all the goats are here.
For a second here. 1 second. Just stick with me for a second. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mayor Minor. You're live on Channel 10 now.
Why don't everybody introduce? I'm Minister of Transportation of Israel.
What does today mean to you?
Oh, this is tremendous. We have the Prime Minister, Bibi Netanyahu, is coming here, and you can see the support that the South Florida community has for Israel, and we're all out here to show our support.
I was talking to Representative Jimenez about this. I've, A, never seen the amount of security, but B, those streets are crowded with people. There's this sense of real excitement here. Tell me about the historic significance of Netanyahu making South Florida, his first visit since he's prime minister in America.
Yeah, I mean, that shows you, because a type of visit like this, everyone's been saying, well, in years past, this would have been in New York.
Do you think there are any protests around that area, brother? One, it's Florida. Two, I don't even think they could get anywhere near it. Did you not see the way that they fucking shut down the city? It's crazy.
Now the Prime Minister of Israel is choosing to come to South Florida and be here, and you see there's a lot of people from Miami Beach, Surfside, Bal Harbor.
Miami Beach specifically. We talk about South Florida's connection with Israel. What is Miami Beach's connection with Israel?
Well, we've stood firm in support of Israel and fighting anti-Semitism. They're connected, and I say all the time that we in Miami Beach are the leading example of what it is to support Israel and fight anti-Semitism. We will always stand with Israel.
Unfortunately, we saw with Bondi Beach, the anti-Semitism is out there. First night of Hanukkah, of course, that tragedy. What have we done here in South Florida to make sure that we're safe?
Well, we do a lot, and we make sure, for example, we had some very anti-Israel protests early on, and that's okay. Free speech is allowed, but you cannot intimidate and harass people, and that's where it goes over the line, and we made sure we put it in check. Free speech, but you're not going to intimidate and harass people, and that's unfortunately what's happening in other parts of the world. They're letting it go unchecked.
What are you most excited about hearing the speech today?
Well, obviously.
Gross. Oh, is the Iranian protests are attempting to break into the government building? I'm not going to cover this today. Trump demands answers on Minnesota daycare fraud. We're moving on from that. Oh, I wanted to show you this. Tony, double circ Tony DeCoppel, don't trust just me. Make me earn it, he says. Oh, God. Everything sucks so bad. I'm already in a bad mood. It's like literally fucking day one of the year, and I'm already in a shit-ass mood. Barry Weiss's faux populist smarmy bullshit will, of course, ignore 50% of Americans, what 50% of Americans think Israel is committing a genocide, and 60% supporting ending military aid to Israel. This posture will be entirely selective and mostly involve dehumanizing trans people and immigrants and sucking up to Trump. No one can just have an ideology anymore. Everyone must launder their ideological preferences through some alleged Joe Sixpack everyman whose voice will be appealed to when and only when it confirms to the ideological priors of Larry Ellison and the business needs of Oracle.